Today, I'm delighted to welcome Milton Neuenchwander to the show. Milton is the Director of Enabling Technology for the Department of Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities in the wonderful state of Tennessee. Welcome to the show, Milton.
Thank you, Stephen, for having me. And it's a privilege to be able to come on here and talk about what we're doing in the state of Tennessee for intellectual and developmental disabilities.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be having this opportunity to meet with you. So tell me a little bit about that. What are you doing in the state of Tennessee in this area?
Well, we're doing a lot of great things, actually. So I'm the director of our Enabling Technology program, which is actually part of our Division of Program Innovation. And basically, our Division of Program Innovation was formed in 2020, right before the pandemic hit. And our main goal with the Division of Program Innovation was to come up with new ideas and services to be able to figure out how we can move forward and progress forward with our services and build those quality of services. So as a director of Enabling Technology, I help direct our newly acquired Enabling Technology program, which looks at technology and services around innovation and technology solutions to see how we can build independence with people with disabilities.
So what do you mean when we use this buzzword, enabling technology? What does that mean to you?
Well, what it means to me is any type of technology, solution, equipment, or even a methodology or plan that we put in place to help people use technology and equipment to build their independence and become more part of their communities, or more part of their place of where they work, or even at home. So
what do we mean by the term enabling technology?
Yeah, so a part of our program, when we talk about enabling technology, we're talking about any type of equipment, technology solution, or even a methodology in which we use to be innovative in our services to help people reach their desired level of independence. And whenever they use that technology or solution that we can provide to them, we want them to reach that level of desired independence within their community, at homes, or even at their place of employment, so that they can feel more engaged in their communities, have more empowerment at home and control of their environment, as well as independence wherever they go. So
it's my understanding that nonprofit agencies can often create relationships with companies that provide this type of technology, or with other entities. What's the role of your department? Like, what's the governmental role here?
Yeah, so we actually formed a whole program called Enabling Technology to help support our nonprofit provider agencies who are supporting the individuals in our services to live in their communities and be engaged in their communities. So our role is to support those provider agencies. And so we actually developed a whole program of Division of Innovation to be able to do that. And the whole idea with the program of Division of Innovation is we put together a structure so that we can provide those extra resources and supports towards our provider agencies to help them become more innovative and meet those challenges and struggles that they've been facing within our services. And so for example, with Enabling Technology, we provide them with funding, we provide them with training and education to understand what kind of technology is out there, to be able to support individuals to become more independent, empower them to have more control and build their independent living skills. We provide them with what we call tech champions from the state level to go out and help them facilitate the meetings and connect them with these technology vendors that can provide these technology solutions, and then also put together that plan so that they can successfully integrate the technology solution into the person's services and provide a better quality of service for them.
Do you believe that the role of your department creates more of a level playing field across the state for the receipt of services by individuals?
Well, of course. I mean, anything that we want to do, we want to make sure that our services, our supports, and those resources that are available across the state of Tennessee are accessible to people, not only in our services, but also other people outside of our services with disabilities. So we are always looking at partnering with other state organizations, state agencies, other nonprofit organizations that have our same goal in mind with helping people with disabilities, having more access to resources across their communities, to make sure that they can build that independence. So we definitely are on the same terms of leveling out the playing field so that they have just as much of a chance and opportunity as anybody else in the state of Tennessee.
But if you weren't there, if your department wasn't there creating this, these services that you provide, this kind of connection, you would expect that you'd have different levels of access to technology all around the state. That's what I was kind of getting at. It creates opportunity for all, right? That might not have been there, because of different people having different levels of resources and sophistication in how they provide support services.
Yeah, so I mean, technology has been around for a long, long time. And about 20 years ago, we had a service called assistive technology that provided technology solutions to individuals, that incorporated, adaptive equipment, things like hearing aids and standards and lifts. But over the last 20 years, technology has advanced and there's newer emerging technology that has come out. And so we wanted to stay ahead of the game. And so we definitely wanted to provide new opportunities for people to have access to those newer types of technologies, the smart home technologies, the technologies that we are using right now to do this, podcast, where two-way audio video conversations where somebody can help support, can communicate and talk to people even across the divide, and remotely support people wherever they are. And with the new resources we have with technology, with the Internet of Things, with connectivity where you can get alerts and notifications within a moment's notice, we can be as connected to anybody in seconds as we have these pieces of emerging technology in our pockets.
Yeah, I get it. Absolutely. Do other states do these types of supports the way you do?
So there's a lot of number of different states that have what we call the Technology First Initiative in place, and in fact, whenever we started our Technology First program and enabling technology program towards that, we reached out to other states to see how they have done it and what they have, the lessons that they have learned, and so that we could take those lessons learned, take their ideas and incorporate it into our program as well, so that we didn't have to make the same mistakes and we could provide this service, have a successful service.
So let's back up a little bit. What do you think of when you think of the term technology first? What does that mean for you?
So when I think of technology first, we're always thinking about how can technology be one of the first options whenever considering a natural support for somebody within their services. And so technology first also means, how can we integrate technology solutions into all parts of our services so that we can provide a better quality of service and advance and streamline the way that we are doing things. So we want to make sure to provide those technology resources to not only what we are doing within our state agency, but also to the provider agencies and the nonprofits that are supporting the individuals in our services. So whatever we learn as far as technology first, we are then trying to provide that to our provider agencies so that they can carry it on to their agency and organization.
So tell me how it would work. I work for a nonprofit. I perhaps am offering direct support services, in-home services, where I've got some staff that is going into people's homes who, or perhaps I even run my own group home or equivalency where I have people who live on site to provide support for people who are dealing with intellectual and developmental disabilities, maybe providing services to go to and from day programs, whatever it is. How would I interact with you as a service provider? I phone your office and I say, Milton, I need help. What would you do for me as a service provider?
So we're all about great customer service. So from the very beginning, we want to be involved and help out with that process, from the very start. So we have actually put together a wonderful process through person-centered planning. And so from the very beginning, if a person is interested in our technology services, along with their provider and their case manager or support coordinator, they send a referral to our program. And like I said, we have what we call tech champions, and these are state employees who have become subject matter experts with our enabling technology program. They're there to help people understand the process for finding the funding, for finding the technology solution, and getting through the process of requesting that service for them to use that technology. And so they basically take them through a number of meetings where they do a discovery process at the very beginning to understand what the person's priorities, preferences, and goals are towards using that technology. They provide suggestions. Our tech champions provide suggestions to the individual and their team to be able to understand what technology solutions through our program are available to meet their goals for independence. And then they directly connect them with the technology vendor that can provide that technology solution for them. And then once they go through some assessments, they get a quote, and we help them through the remaining process for requesting the funding for this.
So you don't provide the funding?
So actually we have, through our services, we have currently enabling technology and assistive technology funding benefits for up to $5,000 a year for anybody in our services. So each year they can look at the technology that they're using, and they can see if they want to continue using that technology and use that funding towards a continuation of using that technology, or they can add to it up to that $5,000 a year limit with that enabling technology, assistive technology benefit.
So this is State of Tennesse grant money, basically?
So yeah, we had the privilege. So our enabling technology program started as a pilot program, and we had the privilege of getting state funding provided to us to start that as a pilot program. And this was reoccurring for the last 3 years. And of course, with the pandemic, we had a little head start with looking at how technology can help support people remotely. And once the pandemic came along, the idea of using technology to support people really, was important. And so that funding continued, throughout the pandemic. And our ultimate goal is to ultimately get our enabling technology program to become a long-term waiver service in which that $5,000 a year will now be federally funded through our waiver services. So yeah, being able to start out as a state-funded grant project allowed us to have the flexibilities to put this program together, to adjust whatever we needed to, and to build that plan of how we're going to provide this long-term.
So I haven't done a thorough study of all the states and the union and how they're addressing technology and support services for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. However, I've spoken to a lot of people around the country, and it does seem that Tennessee is on the forefront of this. Why do you think that is?
So, Stephen, our enabling technology program kind of started in conjunction with our division of program innovation. From the very beginning, whenever we were looking at, closing down our institutions and progressing towards a more community-based type of service, the state of Tennessee wanted to take that even a step further. We wanted to put together a division that looked how we could further progress towards these new innovative ideas in providing services, and technology was one of them. And whenever we came up with this idea of the Division of Innovation, our current director, Jeremy Norton-Paul, he came up with this idea by drawing a sketch on a napkin in a restaurant. This is how, a lot of good ideas come to place, right? But his idea was that, we had to build our services and our supports around a structure that is sustainable. And so he created this structure that had pillars on it. And it kind of looked, had a foundation, it had pillars and a roof to it. And he called these the pillars of transformation. And whenever he looked at the pillars of transformation, like any good sustainable system, it had to have a good foundation. And that's where our employment and our workforce and the commitment to culture is all about. But then with those pillars, he thought about what best practices do we already have that can make and build our quality of services towards independence and a better quality of service. And what we established was that we needed enabling technology as part of one of those pillars of services to see how technology can bring everything together and streamline our services. But not only that, we also need to continue to do what we were doing with employment first and employment innovation and community inclusion along those lines. And then to wrap it all up, we continued looking at this from a person-centered, person-driven perspective. So with those three pillars of person-centeredness and thinking, employment services, and technology first, we then created this idea of innovation to build our services so people can better understand what resources are out there and how to better live their life and to have a better quality of life.
It's just amazing. I wish that this was true around the country, this sort of thinking about things. Now, as you know, this is a housing podcast.
Yep.
So I have a couple of questions. First question is, why is what you're doing so important for the whole issue of accessible housing? And then the second question that we can ponder is, what role can you play in more direct housing support for the people that you serve? And I'm thinking broadly about the state and not necessarily about your specific department.
Yeah, so just going back to our division of program innovation, and its main goals is to definitely look at those challenges that the state of Tennessee and the people with intellectual disabilities has across the state. And we know that housing accessibility is a hot topic right now with people and concerns, not only just in the state of Tennessee, but across the whole nation. And so with the division of program innovation, those are the things that we want to start looking at and seeing if we can start putting together that plan in place so that we can start providing those resources and supports towards helping people have better housing accessibility. And so whenever we look at that, we take it, the same way that we structured a lot of our other projects, right? We first have to reach out to other states to see what are they doing to, address this housing accessibility crisis that we're facing right now. Have they reached out to other subject matter experts like yourself, Stephen? And can we bring those into our program and actually, get their input and ask questions and understand what we can do better as a government agency to help people create better housing accessibility options for them. Then we look at projects that we could possibly do with our provider agencies and other nonprofit organizations and state agencies across the state to see how we can bring everybody together and their resources to basically see if we can put together a project and find and build capacity with housing accessibility, right? Because there are other people out of nonprofits in the state of Tennessee that are already addressing this issue. And it's all about working together and bringing everybody together with those same goals in mind to be able to meet this struggle and this challenge. And that's what we look at when we're talking about the division of program innovation, using technology and supported employment and person-centered driven. We use all those practices to look at these struggles and these issues that we're facing.
So do you see any concrete pilot projects or programs arising in this regard around how to work with these other agencies?
We're definitely starting to put together a plan and starting to put together some ideas of how that could look. And we're starting to reach out and see, what kind of resources are out there that we can be a part of this pilot project for looking at housing accessibility. And that's where we have to start, is understanding, what the problem is, how major is it here in the state of Tennessee, where are the locations that need our support the most, and then putting together those resources in those locations through our program to see if we can develop a pilot project in collaboration with whoever else has the same goal in mind, to make sure that we can all work together to basically meet this challenge head on.
So Tennessee is a smaller state. Do you believe that this model of the role of government in support for enabling technologies among the nonprofits that provide direct support services, do you believe it's scalable? Do you believe that there could be lessons in what you're doing in Tennessee for larger states or other states in general?
Of course. What Tennessee is doing is not reinventing the wheel. What we are doing is just putting together what we know as best practices and strategies for heading on, challenges and problems, and being able to address them head on with this division of innovation. And then also looking at what other people are doing and trying to incorporate them into our services. So whenever larger states and other states are looking at this, I mean, there's basic things that you just need to look at in order to build this program. One is that you need good team leaders in order to be able to develop that team, that division of innovation team, that have creative mindsets, that can think outside the box and allow them to basically come up with these strategies to face these struggles and challenges that everybody's facing, not just the state of Tennessee and other people across the nation. The other thing is flexibility. You need the funding, right? And in order to do this funding, you have more flexibility, if you use state funds or state grants in that sense. So being able to find those state grants, those state funds, it allows more flexibility for you to innovate and come up with these new ideas, think outside the box, and develop these pilot projects which you can learn from and then put together into a more long-term sustainable plan and how you can make it as part of your services going forward. And then finally, with this idea of the vision of program innovation, you need backing from the leadership. In order to get that state level funding, you need people on your side on the fiscal departments and in the upper management departments that share the same passion, that wants to be able to show that we are going in the right direction for facing these challenges and allowing more people independence, because they're the ones that go out to the legislator and they ask for, for that additional funding, ask for that additional support so that we can, and they also show everybody what we're actually able to do with those funds and to improve people's lives. And it's that we need to be able to show them so that we can continue to get support and make this scalable across the whole state of Tennessee, so that we can continue doing what we're doing.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned legislatures because, we have all over the country biases around different states and their different politics. And, we have a huge partisan divide in this country. And this podcast is not about politics. However, I can't imagine that and this would be true in any state, that you wouldn't find fiscally conservative, small c, conservative people who would question the allocation of expenditures for the kinds of things that you're doing. As everyone who listens to my most people listen to this podcast, and you and me, we know this is good allocation of resources. But there are lots of people in this country who have a different view of things. How do you manage the political opposition to social services spending?
So a lot of data. And so whenever you're doing these programs, you have to make sure that you're also doing your due diligence to collect the data on how you're improving the lives of the individuals that you support. We have a lot of success stories and videos that we share with people using the technology and we have testimonies straight from their mouth of how it's improving their lives and helping them become more independent and changing, who they are. And, whenever you can show a video like that, that's priceless. And it's hard to put an amount on telling somebody that they can't have more independence and things like that.
Right.
So that's, so it's very important that no matter what you guys do with your pilot projects or your innovation projects that you're looking at, that you also get the individual, the end user involved with sharing, and getting their feedback of how it has changed their life and the data that you can collect from those success stories.
Wow. That's very interesting. So do you think that, do you get a lot of traction with your website and with these videos that you post?
Well, we are still kind of in the pilot project because we got interrupted by the pandemic.
Right.
So there's a lot of videos that we post on our website, and a lot of people comment on the videos that we post on our websites. We have a whole YouTube playlist of these success stories that are put together by our communications department, and everybody enjoys them. And we use them with a lot of trainings and education whenever people are asking, what is our program about? We are looking to even add more success stories and more experiences and information to our website. And so we're definitely hoping that our website becomes a central hub for how we are doing things and the success that it's having with technology.
Do you ever get any pushback from people in the disability community or outside of it around the role of technology and support, issues of privacy, issues of safety and security around the reliability of technology? Do you ever encounter those types of questions, and how do you respond?
Of course, with anything that you do, it needs to be person driven. And so we understand that from a technology point of view, that not everybody's comfortable with technology. And so it's very important that whenever we go to talk to somebody about technology, that they're able to make that informed decision on their own, whether or not they want to use that technology. And so we provide them with any resources that they need to make that decision. We have training and education that we can provide them. We have also built model homes, enabling technology model homes that they could actually go and visit and have hands-on experience with using the technology to see how it would interact with them in their own home, and understand what kind of privacy that it does provide, or what kind of controls that they do have over limiting what that different device can do or cannot do. And so we always empower the individual to explore those options, to make those choices, and make sure that they have the right fit for technology solutions before they ever put it into their homes. So that's what it's all about, is that person-centered and person-driven aspect of it.
It's really interesting because I've always considered myself reasonably technologically savvy, but as I get a little bit older, the 15 and 20-year-olds that I encounter are far more proficient with the technology. And I also see my elders, folks in their 70s and 80s and 90s, just struggling to use a cell phone sometimes. And so I think we need, as a society, to be very thoughtful about how we continue to integrate technology into basic day-to-day use of a home, right? And making it easier and not creating a new level of barrier or frustration, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And along with that, we also have to consider what kind of education and training that we can provide from the very beginning about the best practices and use for technology, to make sure that they completely understand that there are certain things that you need to do in order to ensure a successful implementation and integration of technology into an environment. And no matter what technology you're using, as long as you use those best practices and those skills that they've learned, then they should be successful in using that piece of technology.
So Milton, I understand you've been with the the agency for some time. You've been involved for a number of years. What is the biggest learning lesson for you? What is the thing that has been the biggest thing that you've learned? I don't necessarily mean personally, but in terms of doing this project, in terms of enabling technology, what do you think is the biggest lesson for you so far?
Wow, that's a tough question, because there's been a lot of lessons learned within our enabling technology program. So I might hit upon a couple of them here.
Sure, please.
First off is that whenever you're considering technology, it has to be person driven. If you are going out there and just trying to have technology driven ideas where you're trying to give a piece of technology to everybody, and you think they're going to use it the same way that everybody else uses it and understands it, it's not going to work. It's not going to be successful. And so you need to have that planning process that involves the person from the very beginning to make sure that you have the right fit for technology, and any service or program that you're looking at. It has to be person driven. And the second thing is, you need the support, you need those champions in place from the state agency level to support the nonprofits and the provider agencies that are going to take what you learn and provide it to the individuals within your services. We have so many wonderful provider agencies and nonprofits that support the individuals, but they are so busy with so many different services and supports that they need to have our additional support to help them, successfully integrate technology or any other service as part of their service. And so having that champion, that tech champion, to help them through the process is key in helping them providing training. We also have champions with employment innovation and community inclusion, and having that champion for employment and community inclusion helps people find more jobs and explore what's available out there. And then also having champions in person-centeredness helps develop new organizations and into person-centered organizations to further drive that best practice as well. So another big lesson is that you can't just expect people and providers to go out there and be able to do this on their own. You have to have those champions built into your program to help them and support them along the way.
Wow. Wow, there's so much more I wanted to ask you, but we're running out of time. So my last question, if I have listeners who are intrigued by our conversation and want to learn more, or they want to watch some of those cool videos, how do they access to learn more?
Okay, so if you're interested in our enabling technology program, feel free to visit our State of Tennesse DIDD website. And that website is tn.gov/DIDD. And if you go to the homepage, there should be a link under Community Services for Enabling Technology, and that will take you straight to our website. And if you scroll down, you'll see some links to those wonderful success stories and videos that we were talking about earlier.
Great, great. Well, I really appreciate you coming on my show today, Milton. Thank you so much.
No problem. I really appreciate being able to come on here and talk about technology and the great things that we're doing with our Division of Program Innovation. And I hope people can, kind of learn how we're doing things and do it themselves through their state agencies, because it's a lot of fun and excitement, and we're doing great things for people.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.